Kremlin says, theoretically possible, to not hold presidential elections.
Here's a summary of the article.
Russian President Vladimir Putin can choose not to hold presidential elections next year because he will, obviously, win re-election, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said late Sunday. Putin is widely expected to declare his bid for a sixth overall presidential term. Although elections are a requirement of democracy and Putin himself has decided to hold them, theoretically it's possible not to hold them, Peskov told Russia's RBC News website. Peskov spoke with RBC after the New York Times quoted him forecasting a 90% victory for Putin in next year's presidential election. Our presidential election is not really democracy, it is costly bureaucracy. Mr. Putin will be re-elected next year with more than 90% of the vote, Peskov told NET. Peskov later claimed to have been misquoted by the publication, but stressed to RBC that his projection for Putin's wide margin of victory is based on the level of consolidation of society around the Russian leader. Russia's next presidential election is scheduled for March 17, 2024, amid an intensifying crackdown on criticism of what the Kremlin calls its special military operation in Ukraine. The Kremlin is also expected to hold a vote in the 4 Ukrainian territories it claimed to have annexed last fall.
This post received a score of 9,500, with an upvote ratio of 96%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
This is all theater anyway. There are no elections in Russia and haven't been for many years.
Greater than Russian President Vladimir Putin can choose not to hold presidential elections next year because he will, obviously, win re-election, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said late Sunday. Democracy in action. I wonder if there are any serious contenders anyway. Or does Putin just have them killed? Also, I wonder how willing the average Russian is to put down a name other than Putin. I would bet you end up on some list if you do.
The most serious next contender is serving a 19-year sentence in a gulag.
No, 19 years is what was just added onto his previous sentence that he had for tax evasion. I hope Russia overthrows Putin one day.
Russians will never overthrow Putin. Their current tactics for getting out of this situation is to wait until all the bad guys die. Sorry, I just read an interview with one of the RU journalists. This is how their nation thinks.
Waiting out until Stalin died ended up working lol. Only 20 million people had to die in the process, a bargain.
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to take.
Let's not bicker and argue about who killed who, this is supposed to be a happy occasion.
Anything to get out of that cursed swamp.
The way they talk like Russia is a democratic country, while everyone else knows full well it's been a dictatorship for many years, completely controlled by a war criminal dictator.
Putin is dead if he leaves power.
I don't think he can trust even his closest ally to become next Russian president. The second he relinquishes power, the oligarchs will be out to get him. Hence keeping this war going on and on. Emo anyway.
Kremlin literally said, it's theoretically possible for us to not even try to pretend to be a democracy.
Kremlin says a lot of shit. This one is actually pretty factual.
Putin got elected from his blowing up a building and blaming it on the Chechens. I'm pretty sure an election is a formality.
Isn't that how Hitler seized power? Reichstag fire?
Yup. Get ready for one here in America.
January 6th was a false flag. Big S.
How convenient. No one saw that coming.
In fairness, this pretty standard for a country at war.
The US has managed to hold elections during its own civil war and World War II.
The US is a special case because we have nothing written in our constitution concerning postponing the presidential election in times of war.
I think most of the reason is just because those wars the US itself wasn't really under attack. If the US was being invaded, elections may not have happened.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.